Yeah. The Squeezebox Podcast.
Hello.
Hi. I'm Tom.
I'm Shane.
His name comes first in the name of the show. He's more important. He is shameless, tells really scary stories about his life that
And I'm
I
the
would
funny
never
one.
tell.
Yeah. And Tom, I let him talk first just because he's not so funny and it just makes him seem a little more important.
So we do a weekly show from one of the only cities that is actually south of the United States, but in Canada.
Windsor, Ontario.
And we just do a lot of this. A lot of tangents, a lot of stories.
A lot of bantering. We tell a lot of embarrassing stories about our life.
Listen to us. Tell your friends. Squeezebox Podcast with Shane and Tom.
And we typically post our show every Wednesday.
Tune in.
See you later.
Welcome, residents, to the Dr. DC podcast. My name is producer Richard, and across from me is the doctor himself.
Hello.
Each week, we talk about the weird and wonderful world of DC while taking questions from listeners like you.
Wow, I didn't think you were going to stick the landing.
I didn't think so either.
I honestly thought you were falling asleep. It's halfway through Doctober. Doctober. It's scary. His whistling is so good, it's scary. Oh, I like that. It's like an alien vibrator.
Part of those beatboxing
What?
skills. What?
Yeah, what you said. Yeah.
It's R2D2 using a
Obsidian?
vibrator. No, it's R2D2 using a vibrator.
I just revealed far too much by using a brand name.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Oh, God.
We all know those ones take double A's.
Sorry, double A's?
Yeah.
You've seen that thing? It's probably a car battery.
Clear.
Or multiple ones just hooked up in parallel.
Jesus Christ.
What were we doing?
The news?
Oh, yeah.
We got a lot to catch up on this week.
Sure, yeah.
Oh yeah, wait, you cut some of that out and asked me to do those, and I haven't put those in.
We'll fix it in
It's
post.
gonna be a weird fucking episode. I'm just warning you now.
Edit point.
No, I don't care. CBS orders pilot for Secret 6. What's
Yeah.
a Secret 6?
Secret 6 is like a team of... It's had a couple of different incarnations. Like back in its original form, they were like covert operatives, and they worked for this sort of mysterious character known as Mockingbird. And then like...
Mock. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mockingbird, please don't sing.
How funny would it be if that was the theme song for this Secret 6 show?
It's really weird.
But Gail Simone sort of like rebooted them as like a team of villains kind of like coerced and trapped by this character called Mockingbird. And there have been some different versions of the team, this sort of rotating roster. It's not exactly a Suicide Squad because it's not the government. Like the most recent version of the Secret 6, the Riddler basically kidnapped a bunch of characters and made them do stuff for him.
Wow.
So rotating cast, but usually includes Catman, Thomas Blake.
I'm going to Catman.
If I ever get out of here.
Then I'm part of the Secret 6.
Bane has been part of the Secret 6 before.
Whoa.
Yes, Ragdoll, a Parademon, Scandal Savage, Knockout, Cheshire. There's been a bunch of different characters.
2 cats.
Porcelain, Black Alice.
A ragdoll and a porcelain.
Porcelain.
I don't know this song.
Oh, you wasting away.
I don't know this.
It's Red Hot Chili Peppers. It's off Californication.
That's why I don't like them.
Missing the line, drifting and floating and fading
Wow.
away.
Yep.
Can you tell that, like, that's such a me pull? It's
Yes.
like the sad boy pull from a Red Hot Chili Peppers album.
I only like the Red Hot Chili Peppers for the slow jams.
Yeah, I like the songs that make me cry.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Secret Six. So CBS has ordered a pilot, which, yeah, I mean, like, I'm interested. Like, it's kind of a cool concept, but it's weird that CBS was like, we're gonna let Supergirl go, and then
Go in for Secret Six. Yeah. For something where I feel like you should double down on something like that.
yeah, I don't know, but I'm interested.
What are your?
I hope it's the Simone kind of inspired version. I'm less interested in just like a generic team of covert ops. I want to see like the weird group dynamic of these sort of misfit like C-list characters.
Are you worried that all of these shows like it's gonna be a burnout and we're not gonna get like it's like I feel like we're starting to get to an edge where CBS is doing Secret Six. It feels like.
But what's the alternative? It's not like you get so many and you either spread them out or you do them all at once. If we get them now, I'll take them because it's either that or they might never have existed.
Yeah, for sure. I'm just worried that like.
Oh, it will burst.
Yeah.
Like this will not last forever. But that's why
right?
I just
Like-
want them to make whatever they can. Some will be good. Some will suck.
It's
but
like-
they'll exist.
It's like the transport truck movie of the 70s. Like I feel like at a certain point you can only have so many big rigs and then
Or like, or westerns or like
Mhm.
stuff. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this won't last. I have to think we're on the declining slope of it.
I've heard that the like defense for it not being like the Western is that like all of these other things were a single genre and that superhero movies can be a multitude of genres.
That's true, but you could also make that argument for westerns. Like a good example is like 2 years ago, Bone Tomahawk came out. It's basically like a western horror film. So yeah, maybe people just lacked the creativity or the drive to try and do something different with it before. Yeah, I
That reminds me, I watched The Vault last night.
the what? The Vault?
Yeah, on Netflix. It's James Franco's like horror movie, like low budget horror movie he put out.
Okay.
I don't know who even directed it, but the concept is awesome. It's a bank heist
Okay.
where the bank is haunted.
Oh fuck.
It's a great concept.
Gringotts.
Yeah. Terrible movie.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, no, it was like the entire time it
Better
was
idea on paper than in execution,
Well,
kind of thing.
it treated you like you'd never seen a horror movie before. And so,
Do people literally say, "Don't go in there"?
yeah.
No, they don't.
Yeah, they do.
No, they.
Yeah,
don't.
they totally
Fuck
do.
off.
And there's things where there's just like where like it had this been like 30 years ago, the concept of like the big like twist would have been like whoa.
Sure.
But in this, it was kind of like, yeah, I saw that literally the second I saw this character, I knew that they were going to be this thing.
Right.
Like
of course.
it was so blatantly obvious of what their twist was that it was just like, okay. And it was so many like reuse of like plot devices from other horror movies and stuff. It just like they took this awesome concept and just fucking just threw it to the wind, and it was bullshit. And I was
Right.
like,
But flip side, at least we have A Quiet Place.
fuck.
Right.
Oh my god, I was watching Billy on the Street the other day,
Okay.
and they had what's her name from Zombieland?
Emma Stone.
Yeah, so they had Emma Stone on as the person who's following him, and his whole thing was that he was trying to like he kept asking people like, should Emma Stone do a horror movie? And he's just like, why aren't you doing a horror movie? And she's just like, I don't know. And then like he went to some woman and was like, she was like, I don't think she should. Like, I think she's a better actor, a better actress than that. Like, she doesn't need to be like doing like this sort of like low budget thing. And he's like, oh really? Like, do you think you're better than Emily Blunt? And then like ran away.
I do like Billy Eichner.
He's really funny. Like, I actually really like that. But all right, let's go to the next thing. We got the first pick of Ruby Rose as Batman, and It's fucking awesome.
Batwoman.
Batwoman, sorry. Did I say Batman?
Yeah.
No, Batwoman.
Yeah, because she's not playing like a gender swapped Batman. She's not like Bryce Wayne. It's not like that Earth where the genders are flipped. She's playing Kate Kane, like the actual Batwoman. So yeah, that's for the Elseworlds crossover of the CW shows this year. Arrow, Flash, and Supergirl. Yeah, she looks amazing. It's again, I feel like recently we've seen like a push back to very comic accurate. And actually even season 5 Flash has a new suit that looks way more like the comics.
Really?
Yeah. It looks good. So yeah, I feel like that's like the trend is pushing back that way, which is awesome. On the note of that crossover, I just saw a picture today, a set picture that Stephen Amell posted, and it's him and Grant Gustin standing with Tyler Hoechlin, who plays Superman on Supergirl.
Oh, okay.
But he's wearing the black and silver suit.
Mm.
So who knows what Earth that Superman is from, but because it's the Elseworlds, because we know the Monitor is involved, like there's going to be some parallel Earthing happening, which is pretty exciting. But
that's fucking rad.
I'm very excited to see Ruby Rose's Batwoman though, because it looks great. They nailed like the hair, the suits. It looks perfect.
I'm so excited for this. I didn't think I would be, but they're nailing all those sort of like little pieces so far, and that costume is like perfect.
Yeah.
Like it feels realistic while still being like comic accurate. And
yeah, totally.
Whenever they can do that, like I like that they have been like leaning into the comic accurate and making it work lately too. Like,
well, I mean, that's a costume that like works really well in a comic book, but could very easily look cheap on TV because like the red hair is out. Like it's not like a full cowl kind of thing. And sometimes that ends up, like things don't fit properly or whatever, but like it looks really, really, really well done.
I'm stoked.
Yeah.
Apparently there's a new metahuman character joining Black Lightning.
Yeah. And I think it's like a new metahuman character.
Like they're creating it for the show.
As far as I can tell, this character doesn't exist. I'm sure someone out there will correct me if I'm wrong.
Do you know what the character's name is?
The character is going to be called Perenna. And she's basically like a telepathic, like
fish
therapist. No, not piranha. But she's like a telepathic therapist, and apparently they bring her in to help Jennifer, the youngest daughter, like learn how to deal with her powers.
So it's like a mentor type situation?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's not a bad person, supposedly.
Well, who knows? She's a telepath. She learns too much about appearances.
But otherwise...
Yeah, I mean, if it follows the Flash model, then yeah, the next person that they trust will also betray them.
Yes. Have they done a lot of character creation in this new, like the CW verse?
Sometimes it's more like repurposing. Like we talked about in a way back episode, a character called Big Sur, who's like essentially like
Silver Surfer.
No, Big Sur is like essentially like developmentally disabled.
Oh,
but in the CW Flash, he was just played by Goldberg, and he was just this big gentle giant that was wrongly imprisoned. So they do a lot of that sort of thing, like sort of repurposing, or taking the powers of one character and giving them to someone else or something like that, but not necessarily a ton of like brand new creations. Harrison Wells as an identity is brand new.
That's true.
It's brand new. Enough. Like Felicity Smoke was technically the name of a character, but she was Firestorm's mom, like in the 80s.
Oh.
But the version of Felicity that's on Arrow it bears no resemblance.
No.
So, yeah, I mean, I guess technically those ones count as repurposing because some element of them was.
But they've never done like they've never Harley Quinned. Like this is the first time really doing that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Because even in the current season of The Flash, like Nora Allen, like their daughter from the future, she's called XS, but she's clearly like a blend of maybe 2 or 3 different comic characters.
Yeah.
So she technically is an invention,
but
it's based on other things. Harley Quinn was like out of thin air, kind of.
Which is this
and
situation.
And Perenna, I'm getting the sense, is that.
Well, it's exciting.
Yeah.
We don't get a lot of that. I find that like when they're like, I like when they're pulling from like previous characters and reutilizing old characters from comics. But like the writers at the end of the day, giving them the opportunity to actually create something from thin air is, I think it's a good like device to use occasionally when they can. But it's something that could be very quickly like overused and like be not good. But
well, it makes sense to go to this very, very deep well because there's so many like one-off
this Harrison Well
nothing characters or whatever. Like it makes sense to go and use them, but. Yeah, I think you're right. I think like when it's done well and invented like a new character can really like, I don't know, they can find their place. They can really like kind of break the format apart sort of thing.
Totally. Well, this next piece of news I'm very excited about. Famed Marvel director to direct Suicide Squad 2.
Famed or infamed?
Defamed. James Gunn.
Yeah.
How do you feel about this?
Okay. The thing is, there are sort of two things to feel about this.
Yeah.
The one is whether or not you feel that his firing from Disney was justified for his sort of like historically terrible tweets.
Yeah.
Jokes about pedophilia and like horrible things and like, like calling people pedophiles and shit like that.
Yeah.
So whether or not Disney should have fired him for that, I'm sort of the opinion that they knew who he was. They should have, if that was an issue for them, they shouldn't have hired him in the first place.
Yeah, it's not like they don't do like a deep dive into these people beforehand.
And as much as it's hard to, I do want to live in a world where I believe that people that do stupid things can learn
change
from that and then get better. And apparently he is an example of that.
I would say seemingly he's changed.
Seemingly. I don't obviously know him, but
based on like character, like references from people he knows and like from what his social media has turned into.
Yeah. I mean,
best guess.
You could, I'm sure someone can post a bunch of stuff to counter that point. But essentially, I feel like Disney, I mean, they were covering their own asses.
Yes.
And they threw him under the bus.
100%.
They basically, if that was an issue for them, they shouldn't have hired him in the first place because they only fired him because they got caught. They didn't fire him because of his tweets.
No.
So that's shitty for him. That's kind of how I feel about that.
Yeah.
How do I feel about him coming in to write and direct Suicide Squad 2? I don't like it.
Really?
I didn't like, well, sorry, that's overstating it. I have an issue with Guardians of the Galaxy 2, which I think he had more control over than the first one.
Really?
The first one to me felt like the perfect balance of that like weird, funny, bizarre, like the group of characters is weird and the situation, but it was still like it was a movie with stakes and it felt important and it felt like there was drama and tension in that. The second movie, with the exception of that Yondu scene, basically undercuts any moment of importance with a stupid joke. The whole movie.
Yeah.
And it bothers me. Like that actually takes me out of the movie. Like I'm not against movies being funny. Like it's not like that Marvel versus DC thing. I don't need it to be Batman v Superman. I like laughing in a movie. I just don't want like moments of genuine emotion to then be undercut by Kurt Russell being like, I gotta take a piss, like just for the fucking hell of it, you know? It didn't feel like it was coming from anywhere important. So that bothers me.
Mm-hmm.
That would concern me. Because whether or not you like the film, whether you think it was good or not, I actually think that Suicide Squad, in that sort of what the DCEU was, did the best job of finding what is the humor of a world like this.
There was humor in the first one?
Yeah. But, like, they're just kind of quippy with each other. It wasn't like...
I literally
like,
can't remember a single moment of that.
But it
movie.
wasn't like...
And I've seen
it wasn't
twice.
like Drax being like, oh, my penis is huge, like they do in Guardians of the Galaxy, right? But it was like... they would joke with each other, and it was like there was like a sense of humor in that movie, whether or not the movie was any good or the jokes themselves were any good. Like they were going for it, right? I don't think I'm excited about James Gunn on Suicide Squad. I wanted to see, what was his name? It was like Connor. There was someone else that was working on it. I was way more excited for him.
If I can get Guardians of the Galaxy 1 to be Suicide Squad 2, I'm very excited.
Yeah.
I
mean, this happens every time. I have an opinion about something. I either think something's going to be great or something's going to be terrible. I'm ultimately proven wrong.
Yep.
I mean, hopefully that's the case here. But my initial gut feeling is I'm not excited about it.
But hopefully, for all of these movies that you kept thinking were going to be bad, are hopefully going to be good.
Well,
because normally you think it's great, and then it ends up being.
I know. Wouldn't it suck? Wouldn't it suck if my barometer was only wrong when I think things are good?
Yeah,
but I'm always right when things are bad.
How's your marriage doing?
I think it's good. Oh my god. Oh no. I need to leave.
So apparently Rooster Teeth is your partner.
Okay, I guess we'll keep doing the episode.
Yeah.
I should probably at least can I call
not till we're done.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's fine. I just
not till we're done.
Okay.
Give me your phone.
Yeah, no, you're right. Okay, I'm sorry.
So Rooster Teeth to partner with DC to produce slate of comic book series. So Rooster Teeth and DC are making comics together. What the fuck?
Now, I think I know the answer to this.
I'm curious.
What is a Rooster Teeth?
Rooster Teeth.
Is it anime?
No.
Then I have no idea what's happening right now.
Rooster Teeth is they initially started as like a web. Like remember Red versus Blue?
No.
Where they took like the Halo characters and turned them into like a web show.
Oh no, I don't know that at all.
So they're basically a web production company. They initially started out doing just like taking like characters from Halo, like playing the game and making a TV show out of it. Became insanely unpopular and like was a huge meme and like was super super popular.
So it's on the internet.
Yes, Grandpa.
Okay,
Grandpa DC.
Do they have a web page?
Many. Multiple pages.
www.geocities.com/rooster_teeth/5372/ID.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, basically now they're like a web production company, much like a Nerdist or something like that. And they produce like web TV shows.
Out of touch.
It's okay.
Okay, so now they're working with DC on some comic books.
Yeah.
Comic books of their properties. Is that the idea?
That's not specific, but I mean they're tying with DC, so I would assume it would be with DC characters of some sorts, right? Like,
but I mean, DC also owns like the Looney Tunes. They own Hanna-Barbera. Like, it's part of a larger sort of collection of intellectual property. So it could just be. I don't know. It could be DC,
let's find out. So
it could be DC publishing comic books of Rooster Teeth properties, or it could be that they're making something new together, or it could be Rooster Teeth wants to do a Looney Tunes thing, or or a DC Comics superheroes thing, or anything.
So apparently they are. They're going to create a comic. They're going to create comic books inspired by two of their sort of like major series. Yes, so
sure.
You're right.
Yeah,
reading an article now.
That makes sense.
So comic book and graphic novel adaptations of RWBY, which I don't know what that is, and Genlock, which I don't know what that is. Yeah, I am feeling real old.
Right? Yeah. I mean, residents, if any of you are like into Rooster Teeth or whatever, you can give us maybe a recommendation of something that gives us a good taste of like what their stuff is like. Send it over. I'll listen to it or watch it.
Whatever you do with that media format.
It's a record, right? It's a vinyl record.
Does that come in cylinder? Apparently RWBY is an animated series that's surprisingly enough anime.
Aha! That wasn't out of nowhere then.
No. It's it's a supernatural universe of remnant 4 strong girls are trained to become huntresses, which are humanity's only hope of defeating the shadowy and threatening creatures known as Grimm. Sure. God, I literally never felt so old on this show until this moment.
I know. Yeah.
I felt real cool for a minute because I knew what a Rooster Teeth was, but... Yeah.
DC teams up with Kick to send like pictures of your jug to your friend at school. That will be the next news story, and I'll be like, oh, Jesus, this world.
Telling you, you give kids the opportunity to show each other their parts, and you have a successful thing.
Well, we have been watching Big Mouth.
So much better than season 1, season 2.
Yeah.
Like monumentally better, and I didn't think the show could get better, and it got like double better.
Yeah, it did.
Fuck. All right, next thing. Ooh, I'm fucking stoked for this. The Flash Year 1 coming 2019 to DC. I'm fucking so goddamn stoked.
So this is not like an Elseworld thing. They'll treat it the way Batman Year 1 was, which is that it'll be like a run in the actual Flash series. I forget what issue it's going to start with. But yeah, they're going to go back to the very start of Barry Allen's career and do like a Year 1 story for the Flash.
Oh God, I'm so stoked for this.
Yeah.
I don't.
Have you seen like the artwork for it?
No.
It looks pretty cool, actually. Do you know what? I still don't think I'm on board with these other forces, like the Sage Force and the Strength Force and shit like that. But I've got to say, I'm enjoying reading the Flash anyway. Like the Flash has picked up for me.
Really?
Yeah. I'm digging it right now. I'm into that book again. Because for a while I was picking it up more out of habit than anything. Because it would just feel weird for me not to be reading the Flash.
Yeah.
But no, I'm actually like on board. So I'm pretty excited for this Year 1. It's also just nice to get like some of these sort of like iconic sort of format stories for a character that isn't Batman. You know, like,
yeah,
because even like Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo did 0 Year, which is essentially their like New 52 Year 1 kind of story.
Yeah.
Like we get it all the time with Batman or Superman. You know, how many times do we see different sort of Superman origins and things like that? It's nice to get it with the Flash. I'm pretty excited for that.
I'm just super interested to see what they can do with this version of it. Like, how much different is it going to be? Like, because Green Lantern was so different, I think.
That's Earth 1.
Sorry, Earth 1, yes.
So this one, it's not on a parallel Earth. This is like the main comics continuity. This is just Year 1. So it's going to be like Barry just becoming the Flash. It'll be like
sweet.
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully this will...
The Flash begins, like that would be that sort of story, like a flashback story.
A flashback? Shock you.
Oh, I don't think I said this. This is a very stupid idea and a total...
Hey, you're on the right podcast.
So, this whole idea, the whole podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So you know how Earth 8 is like DC's version of the Marvel universe?
Oh, yes, yeah.
So that one has like American Crusader is Captain America and Machine Head is Iron Man. I was thinking, I don't know that I've ever seen or like know the name of whatever that Earth's version of Quicksilver is, but he should be called Gold Rush.
Oh,
isn't that a fucking good name?
You've been living in this area for too long.
DC exec, don't fucking give it away. DC execs, hit me up. Do you want me to write like a 6-issue miniseries about an obscure character from a pastiche Earth that's basically ripping off your competition?
And don't worry, DC execs. If you wondered, will that emotional turn on the dime happen when we work with them? Yes.
Are you gonna fucking throw me under the bus? Please help me. You better fucking edit this out. You better edit this out.
Edit point. Boop. So apparently, Vertigo's got some new books coming out.
They do.
They were sharing some info at the New York Comic Con.
There's a couple that are sort of tied to like the DCU. So there's a new Lucifer book that's coming. And basically, I think Lucifer is meant to be like blind and stuff, like kind of maybe depowered and in hell. The other one involves Tim Hunter, who is like a magical character that we did talk about a very, very little bit in a previous episode. But that's sort of tied to like the books of magic and sort of tied to the Sandman universe a little bit.
Yep.
And then there are some books that are just like other Vertigo books that are not tied to superheroes. Not everything has to be superheroes, if you can believe it. There's one about a group of like housewives that discover that they are witches, but their husbands have been keeping that from them.
This sounds like a novel I'd find at the like grocery store or something.
I actually think it kind of sounds neat, but yeah, there's I don't remember the premises of all of them. But there's a couple of interesting sounding ones. these announcements came from New York Comic Con, which is where a bunch of this news came from.
I've been to New York Comic Con once.
What?
Yeah, it was awesome. We my buddy and I went to New York just for like a lark to see like because we had like a weekend and we figured we would go and have fun.
And it just happened to be Comic Con?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck you.
And it's because we went there to go to a live Nerdist show, and then we found out that
it was probably part of.
No, it was just a separate thing.
Sorry, there was a live Nerdist show, and it wasn't part of
No,
Comic-Con.
no. And so we show up, and we're like, oh yeah, Comic-Con's going on. They're like, well, we haven't gotten tickets, and they're like, they're sold out, but maybe we'll just go on there and see if we can get some. So I remember we showed up, and like literally like within 5 seconds of showing up, somebody's like, hey, you want tickets? And I was like, sure, yeah, that's why we came. And he's just like, and I think like we looked online and it was like $175 for a 3-day pass. And the guy was like, $50, I'll give you a 3-day pass. And I remember we were like, yeah, 1 second. And then we go to each other, we're like, this has got to be a total ripoff, right? And he's just like, yeah, but like, all you
can do is take it and walk up and try.
Yeah, and so we were like, I mean, at the worst, it's we both lost like $50, so let's just do it. So we both paid them, and then I remember we're in the lineup and we see people like checking something like way ahead of us, and we're like, and we were still outside, and it was like the gates around the whole thing, and then there was like tables and people were checking stuff, and so we were like, oh, that's when we're gonna get found out. So we like get up to that point, and they were just like, oh, you got any backpacks? And we're like, yeah. And they're like, is anything in them? And I was like, no. And they're like, okay, keep going. And so we're like, oh my God, okay. But then we look ahead and there's like the actual door to the buildings, and people are standing there like that's where they're going to scan it.
Yeah.
And this thing, because it didn't even have a barcode on it. Like it was just like a laminated piece of plastic.
Yeah.
Well, and so we're like, that's where it's going to get
Please
scanned.
let me in.
And so we get up to the door and nobody checks us, and we just walk in, and then we look up and there's like this huge escalator that's going up to the top, and you can just see Comic-Con at the top, and we're like, it's got to be at the top of the thing. That's where they scan it. And I remember we got up to the top of the escalator and there's just nobody, and we were just in Comic-Con, and we're like, did we just get a 3-day pass for $50?
Well, fuck.
Yeah. And so that same trip, like I remember that it was just like moment after moment. Like we were in a lineup to see Claudio Sanchez because he was doing for his comic book. He was doing signings, and we're standing in line, and some guy comes up with like a camera, and he's like, do you want to see Coheed and Cambria play like a private show?
Oh, you have told me about this.
And we're like, yeah, totally. And they're like, okay, all you have to do is just like get on the train and go to the like the village to this Apple store in the middle of like New York. And we're like, sure. And we show up and there's like 30 seats, and they're just like we're just sitting here. We're like, this is not. They're just gonna do just like say hi and leave, right? And they end up doing like an hour interview and then play like a ton of acoustic versions of their songs.
That's so insane.
It was the best. It was the best trip it was like the nerd satisfaction from that trip. It was perfect. We got to see a bunch of super. We got to see it was like the very first season of Walking Dead, and we got to a private I think there was like 20 people in the room, and we got this like private interview with the guy from Walking Dead, the writer, what's his name,
Robert Kirkman.
Robert Kirkman, yeah. And he shows up and he's like, I don't really have a plan for this, so like you guys just want to ask me some questions. And so we just like did a live Q&A, and it was like this tiny little room with a few people in it. It was the perfect Comic-Con experience.
Fuck you. No, at any rate, this is where all these Vertigo announcements happened. It's at New York Comic Con, which sounds great.
Oh, it was great, yeah.
But yeah, I think it's exciting. I mean, we just talked about Vertigo Comics 2 episodes ago with Kyle Clark. I think this is them trying to sort of reinvigorate a bit of energy.
They heard about our podcast and they were like, well, now's our chance.
They were like, fuck, Kyle Clark just said the Vertigo's dead. It's like, oh no.
We need to fix this. Well, the name's still in the ether.
Yeah, that's right. We need to ride the PR high.
So apparently Seth Rogen's got the Boys series, and they've just done some casting for it.
Yeah, The Boys was a series by Garth Ennis, I think, and it's about this sort of like super powered covert ops team. That I think
why haven't they done something like this before?
I think the context of this one is that they're sent after superheroes. They get too obsessed with fame and fortune and stop superheroing.
Booster Gold?
I mean, yeah, but set in its own sort of universe.
Yeah.
I think that's the premise of it. I don't actually know it all that well. but I think they have a full cast now. I think it was supposed to be a movie, like original talk. They were going to make a movie out of it. Now it's like a TV show or something.
Really?
But I think they have like an actual cast that's going to move forward. I just think that it's like that. It's funny that Seth Rogen is like, it's like, oh, there's a bunch of like comic books that I like, and now I have the means to like turn them into things like Preacher. Great. And
He's like, I made one. It was really popular. I don't know. The boys.
Your Seth Rogen is this close to Beavis and Butthead impression.
I need to keep it for my bunghole.
Cornholio.
Shut up, Beavis.
What a throwback.
That's what I'm here for. I don't know. Do you know any, like, have you read any of The Boys?
Not especially, no.
No. Is it a DC proper?
It's like Vertigo. It's like its own thing. It's like it's not set in the world with Superman or shit like that. It's its own book.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'm a little less. I'm less interested in that than I am for things like Preacher or whatever. Like,
but like also like I feel like now he's gotten sort of a free pass where it's like I'll give this a chance.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's true too. But
well, now for the moment of that we've been waiting for.
Have you not seen it yet?
No, I've seen it. Are you kidding me? But I mean, we get to talk about it.
Yes,
now.
finally.
The new Aquaman trailer.
Ugh.
Get wet.
Sploosh.
They're too late.
Am I right?
Oh my god.
Yeah, so they I mean, I guess it's technically a trailer, but it's not really cut like a trailer. It's sort of cut like here's some bonus footage.
Yeah.
Like it's weirdly paced to be a trailer. It's like 5 minutes long, but you get a big like sequence of them in the desert. You get a bit more of like the actual plot of the movie, which is that they are trying to find the hidden sea to find the actual trident of who I presume is King Atlan, the ancient Atlantean king. So that's and they have to do that before Orm unites the seven seas against the surface.
So here's what I'm hoping the movie is plot wise. This is how I hope it plays out. I hope it's like, hey, this like fishy guy who like really is attracted to the water, but like, and it has all these abilities, but has never really like gone into the ocean and realized that he's from the ocean and stuff. And then he meets up with this woman who's just like, you should be the king of Atlantis. And he goes, I don't know, whatever. And
played by Seth Rogen.
Yeah, okay. And so they decide to go on like an Indiana Jones thing to like get the trident, so then he can return and then he can go to Atlantis for the first time and like take the seat, take the throne. That's what I'm hoping it is.
I get the sense just from the way that like how they're dressed in different things that we've seen in the trailers that it's not quite that. I think I mean, first of all, he already knows that he's from Atlantis and he knows that he's the son of the queen.
But like there's a lot of shots of him being like, whoa.
So I don't think he's ever been to Atlantis. Yeah. He's been to like, we know in Justice League he went to wherever they were keeping the mother box, but you could presume that's like out of the city. Like he's not in like,
where does this also land in the sort of like, is this after the movies?
Justice League. Okay. Yeah. But I think he'll go to Atlantis and then, you know, Orm will basically tell him off and then
he's just like, how do you smoke weed down here?
You're really hung up with this.
If I'm going to go with it, I'm going to go with it.
Yeah. James Franco is Black Manta.
Hey man, I thought we were friends. Yeah.
Jesus Christ. I'm suddenly not excited for it.
Yes, I did.
But yeah, there does seem to be like an Indiana Jonesy sort of vibe.
I fucking hope that that's not like just 10 minutes of this. Like, I hope that you actually get like a chunk where they're like going on the adventure.
We see way more Black Manta in this trailer. We see Queen Atlanta.
So do you think that they like Black Manta's trying to get the trident before they do? Like,
I think Orm probably like hires him to just kill Arthur. Yeah,
kind of what my thought process is. They find that he's going to do that, and they try to like cut him off the path.
I think that's probably roughly it. We see a little bit more Orm. We see some underwater fighting. We get our first very quick shot of Dolph Lundgren as King Nereus of Zebel. Yep. We see
that scene though when they're like,
there's a great like it's like a 20-second like uncut like chase sequence.
20 seconds uncut just for you.
Sploosh. Aquaman.
Aquaman uncut. But I liked the scene when they were like trying to like unlock the sort of trident area thing.
Oh, like the hologram.
Yeah, that
thing?
scene,
Yeah.
and they're like trying to make it work.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think this trailer demonstrates that there's some humor to this movie that I do think it shows off the adventure kind of like theme.
I hope that that's throughout it. Like, I hope that that's definitely like a major point. Like,
We get to see that big battle. You see those big crustacean creatures that are presumably from the brine, which is one of the seven
people.
one of the seven seas.
Talk like crab, walk like people.
But we still haven't really seen Vulko, Willem Dafoe's character.
Oh, that's right.
And I think that's because they'll be leaning heavily on the comic books. And in the comic books, Vulko orchestrates a war between the surface and Atlantis in order to make Arthur take back the throne from Orm.
That's interesting.
I suspect this movie is doing that.
I'm okay with that. I enjoyed the parts with like him as a kid.
Yep.
I hope that that's not just like the beginning of the first 5 minutes of it or something. But
No, it'll probably be a little bit of it at least. Yeah.
and I'm wondering the whole submarine part. I'm assuming that's
I think that's Manta's sub.
yeah. You think?
Yeah. Because I think the way the guys were dressed, and I remember like early production stills did have Aquaman dressed like that fighting Manta. So I think that's Black Manta's sub.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I would think.
So Black Manta is
Or a sub that Black Manta and his men like take over or some shit. But
so Black Manta is not from Atlantis,
No,
and it's
he's
just
human.
just some random human dude.
he's a human like treasure hunter, but he has like basically in the comics, he has like a single focused like blood vendetta against Arthur because Arthur killed his father.
Oh, well, they'll have to show that part.
Well, unless it's different in this movie, but
Because I doubt they won't want to make Arthur like a murderer.
yeah, probably not. It's probably a little darker than they'd want to go with him.
Has this renewed or like doubled your excitement?
Oh, I'm so excited for this movie. We're getting a fucking Aquaman movie,
And it's not lame.
and everything is in it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I
All the
could-
things for years that you've been saying,
like,
Aquaman's cool because of
exactly.
this.
Yeah, he's a king and there's underwater. They got magic and there's a fucking trident at the ocean. Like, yeah, I'm so excited.
It's like space, but on Earth.
Yeah, well, this is the thing, right? I mean, that's the old adage, right? Like, we know more about space than we do about like what's at the bottom of the ocean. So it's kind of like, yeah, it's like the perfect sort of like adventure territory.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
I'm super stoked for it. I think it's going to be really good. Well, now on to some prescribed reading
That's right.
from the doctor.
So last week, I
Here,
gave
give me that book because I need to look at it again.
Oh, you're gonna read it right now? Yeah.
Yeah, I figured.
Yeah. Let's just take 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So I gave you the question quarterly number 1. And the reason I gave you this book is because our theme for this week is killing.
Heroes
Who kill.
Yeah.
And this is a book where the question, Vic Sage, has to deal with the conundrum of whether or not, in pursuit of heroism, he should take a life. So, why
So
don't
is this a character who's never killed before? Like, give me some background on the question.
So the question was created by Steve Ditko. Used to be a character for a comic called like Charlton Comics, and then DC bought them out, and that world became Earth 4. And then those characters from Charlton Comics became like the basis of the characters for Watchmen. So Rorschach is based on the question.
Because you can clearly see that with the design, at
Yeah.
least, yeah.
Um,
Because at first I was, there's a part where they show you the question as like the full question, and you're like, is it Rorschach?
Yeah. So Denny O'Neil wrote the question run for DC Comics. And essentially the idea is that the question, he doesn't have powers. He's a detective.
Dennis O'Neil, Denny Cowan.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Well, yeah. But he's like an objectivist, which means that he believes that things just are the way they are. So if he thinks someone is bad, he doesn't believe them to necessarily be redeemable. He was sort of based in that kind of philosophy and that sort of thing. And he's brutal. He's a vicious fighter, but not explicitly a killer.
And this book kind of explores that. That's a big mantra for him. And like,
yeah, I mean, you know, you could make the argument about like, isn't it worse to just like break every bone in someone's body and leave them alive? And like, probably
it's a fate worse than death. Yeah.
But this is, you know, it takes this thing that we explore in Batman or that we explore in, you know, Green Arrow or whatever other sort of court. And this particular story, basically the premise, he's in the jungle. Vic Sage is sort of like almost living in exile kind of thing.
What I found was weird too is that there's sort of an exploration of, there was a mention of Christianity too in this.
Yep. But basically he lives in the jungle, and I'll let you give a bit of a synopsis, but he's essentially forced to, in order to save this little girl, he must take the life of the villain.
So I'll say that I enjoyed the book for sure. I don't think it was outstanding. I think that it tried to do a lot of extra writing to like make up for sort of a weak story.
Well, why don't we go through the story then?
So basically the sort of like main plot points are, what's his actual name in this?
Vic Sage.
Vic Sage. God, it's so 90s. So Vic Sage showed up. This is so 90s. There is an ad for a fucking Steven Seagal movie in it. I was just like, God, it doesn't get any more 1990 than that. I was like, oh, it's just mwah. There's a reference to Rambo, and there's a Steven Seagal. Anyway, so it's beautiful. So basically, Vic Sage arrives back at this village where he'd been living in the jungle, and he's all like Rambo looking, and this kid runs up to him and is basically like, everybody, like, we're being attacked. And so he shows up and he's like, where's the little girl? Where's Jackie? And he goes, the men, they took them and they hurt everybody. So then he goes to go find Jackie and shows up at this basically where there's this like base for drug dealers. And essentially confronts the guys. But at first he's like, I haven't fought in months. Like, yeah. He's like, I'm out of shape. I haven't even worked out. And then just fucking destroys some drug dealers in a matter of seconds. Like,
well, yeah, the bar is set so differently for like what's peak superhero athletics versus what are these henchmen capable of.
But he's also doing like high kicks with like 2 feet. Like,
yeah, he's like kip ups.
Yeah. It's not like he's like not.
I'm so out of shape.
Yeah.
Just. Yeah, I only ran 3 marathons.
Yeah.
Fuck.
But yeah, so he ends up basically getting caught. Mm-hmm. And the sort of main drug dealer guy, they're about to kill him, and he's just like make sure the girl's safe. And he's like, well, what will you do to save the girl? And he goes, I'll do anything. And he's like, okay, well, kill my nemesis.
I think it's his sister.
It's his sister. It's his sister. And so he basically goes, okay, I'll do that as long as you make sure the girl's safe. And you find out that the girl's like has this this health issue and needs medication for it. Yeah. So the bad guy goes, I'll give you a car and I'll tell you where to go, and you just go and get it. And then basically right before he heads off, you kind of get this sort of flashback to when he was the question.
Yep.
And I didn't really get the point of that part. I kind of, it just was like, hey, this guy's the question. Like, this is him being the question.
Yeah, I think it's just to remind people that like this guy like operated in a city as a superhero.
Yeah.
Like he's sort of, this is kind of like a return to that life for him, because he's sort of been in exile a little bit, which is why he hasn't fought in 6 months or a year or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So then basically they flash forward, and he's turned himself back into the question so that he can deal with this problem. And he enters this base and goes to kill this woman, and she's psychotic and like stabs him, and runs away. And he chases after her, jumps on top of this car, and they drive after her, and then at some point they get separated, and she's somewhere else, and he's back at the base to save the girl.
Yeah,
because he's just like, I'm just gonna save the girl. Like I'm the question again, and I'll just fucking kill them if they don't give me the girl back.
Yeah.
So he grabs the girl, and the lady shows back up again, and she's just like, kill me. And he's just like, I'm not gonna kill. He's like, kill me or I'll kill the girl. And so he kills the woman, and then
Well, the big reveal is that isn't it that the... Oh, am I making this up? Am I getting confused?
You might not be. You want to take a look?
I think the big reveal is that she like wants to die, but doesn't sort of like have the chutzpah to do it herself.
Yeah.
I almost said that she was her own brother.
Oh no,
I don't think that's it.
I don't think that's it.
But it's that she didn't want to give her enemies the satisfaction of killing her. She wanted like a way out. But basically, she does sort of. She kind of takes the girl hostage.
Mm-hmm.
She's gonna stab her in the neck, and Vic Sage just shoots her, and she drowns. She doesn't actually die from the gunshot. She falls into the river, and then like a log hits her.
Yeah,
and then she drowns.
And so there's some interesting plot devices, and I think for 1990 in a comic, like there's some really interesting thing. I think the outstanding parts of this are the artwork.
Yeah,
the artwork treats this like it's a play. By using color. So the first few pages, they sort of like open the curtains by sort of like using very minimal art and like very, very minimal color. Mm-hmm. And sort of like you start with like 1 color, then 2 color, and then 3 color. And they slowly sort of open the curtains almost like the Wizard of Oz and like offer you this sort of spectrum of color when you actually finally get into the main story. And then they close it at the end. And so you have less and less color. And they do the same thing with the storytelling, which you start with him sort of in the water, like knocking up against the logs from the deforestation, and she ends up drowning in the water amongst the logs. And so those plot devices and that use of color, like that stuff's really good. And I think the outstanding piece of this would be the art for me. There's a lot of panels in this that I would take out as single pieces and put on the wall.
Sure, yeah.
It's beautifully done.
Yeah.
I think it takes a sort of like 90s like modern art like sort of focused into comics that I really, really enjoyed. Sort of that like sketch style.
It almost looks like anatomical drawing.
Totally.
But just applied to comic books, like that kind of sort of scratchy sketch sort of look.
And I think because they're taking this character to sort of the most primal versions of himself. And so I think that's where sort of that anatomical drawing, sort of that connection happens.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
This book sure wants to be Rambo. They've so much of it they mention Rambo in it.
There's a lot of Rambo.
There's a line where he's specifically like, "Oh, I wish I was Rambo," and the sort of subtext above is like, "You can't be Rambo. Rambo's way more savage than that." And you're just like, okay, I get it. It's 1990.
So now, I mean, it's like the last 2 pages of the book.
Yep.
And then Vic shoots and kills this woman. And then he says in the second last panel, "So this is how it feels to kill, lousy." And then that's basically...
Yeah.
What do you think of this issue as... in terms of like dealing with that theme, whether or not to kill?
I think it does an okay job at showing the struggle of a hero who doesn't typically kill, having to sort of. I don't think it's in such a small book, doesn't really give you enough reason to care about the fact, like you're just like, who the fuck is this girl? Why do you want to? You're willing to kill for this girl like that we just met. Sure. So for me, that's more of an issue with just the format, I think, and maybe that it should have been at issue 3.
I mean, there is a little bit of context from the previous question series that wasn't quarterly,
but I mean, this is a number 1, right?
Like, just as its own standalone issue. Yeah, that's fair. Is there what's something then in there that really, other than that really doesn't work? Is there anything else in there that like stood out that you didn't like about this?
I felt like it was a lot of different sort of concepts trying to fight against each other for me. That was one of my like they were trying to do this sort of like poeticism like thing within the subtext of all of it, where the sort of descriptor boxes on each panel was trying to sort of take this sort of like being like poetic and like talking about sort of like the rain in the tropics, and like it was trying to be more than more than the story that it actually was offering, I think. So for me, that was an issue. I think the fact that they didn't really offer you a reason to care about any of the characters, like didn't get, I mean, again, you're talking, this isn't a trade, right? So it's difficult to judge it based on like, what is it, like 20 pages or something, right? That becomes challenging, but given the format, I still feel like there was that chunk of showing him as the question.
Yeah.
I don't think it was necessary. I think you could draw from a lot of the descriptors that he was a character, and like I just felt like you could have done more development of the actual characters,
right,
rather than putting that chunk in there. But I think the villain was good. Like he felt like a bad guy, and you kind of understood his motives, and they did a good job of like describing like why they were in the jungle and what the purpose of that was.
Right.
So I thought that worked. The sort of switch of the woman wanting to die, it worked enough that you believed that would be enough to kill. I think that a superhero that had been working as long as the question had been would have found another way to save the day.
Sure.
It felt like a plot device just to be like, this character kills now. Like,
yeah, I mean, I think there's something just about the like how immediate the danger is, because like you said, when he first fights her, like it's pretty ferocious, and she just comes right out and stabs him. So I think when she's holding a knife and Jackie, I think he doesn't. He's already been, all the way there, all the way back, a couple of times, and he just wants
and
her to
out
be
of
safe.
Practice in general.
I think there's that. I think that's where that comes in too. That maybe there's an element of him not trusting himself to be able to save the day.
That's true,
because it's quick. It's not like he's like, I don't think.
No. It's just
like she says,
instant.
I'll kill her, and he shoots her.
Yeah,
and it's just like that.
But he does a shot that isn't a fatal spot. Like,
no, yeah. I mean, I guess as a writer, they kind of give him an out, because he shoots her. That doesn't kill her. She falls into the water, and then a log crushes her.
Yeah,
that kills her.
And it's like,
because of him.
Yeah,
but
at the end of the day, he Batmaned her a little bit.
Well, certainly like movie Batman, like the I don't have to save you kind of thing. But would you recommend this? How would you rate it out of 5 capes?
Ooh, finally get to do this and not have anybody shit on the concept.
What do you mean?
Huh? I think I'd have to do it separately. I think the art is 5 capes for me, right? Sure. I think the story is like a 2.5.
That's it, eh?
Yeah, for sure. And then I don't know what else could I judge it by? The art and the story, I think, is that it, right? So 3.5, right. 3.5. I think it's not a bad book. There's much, and for a comic book from 1990, like there's a lot of like brevity and weight to it. Considering that, I think it's a good book. The problem is I can't pretend like I don't have all of this other experience and like storytelling in my head, right? Yeah. But for what it is, I think it's good. And if you're interested in the question, I think it's a fine place to start. I don't think it really gives you that much description of who the question is necessarily, but it's
not necessarily. Yeah,
no, but it's in it like.
And it's also one of those things where, because it happens right at the end of this issue, you're like, well, fuck, I should pick up issue 2. I should see like how he deals with this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And like, I'm curious if this is sort of the catalyst to becoming the question again. Like, where does that sit? Yeah. Is this all taking place in the jungle? Like,
right.
There's mention of the green in this, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, I know the panel you're talking about. I don't know if that's meant to be intentional or not.
I wonder.
Because it's not like fully capitalized or bolded like you sometimes do, but it is. I think it's intentional. I think he's just saying it like, I'm here in the green, like I'm in the middle of the jungle. But he actually like is, by being in the Amazon like rainforest, he is basically like in like the heart of the green, like Swamp Thing's the green. But like that, the supernatural like doesn't factor into the story at all. It's literally just about people who may or may not kill each other.
Yeah. I think that when I was first reading it, and I don't have a ton of experience with the question, and I've read a lot of things that mention him. At first, I was like, "Who the hell is this guy?"
Yeah.
And then I was like, the jungle, the green, as like, is this some sort of like Swamp Thing meets The Question, like
Right.
weird sort of backdoor introduction to the question?
It's really like a nothing comment, but if you've read a comic, then you go like, oh fuck, he just said the green.
Yeah.
It's specific enough wording that it can like stick in your head.
Yeah. But no, it was good. It was good. It was definitely, it wasn't my favorite of the books we've read, but I think for the theme today, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So ultimately in this book, Vic Sage does, whether or not he actually like kills her with the bullet, he does go for it. I think you can definitively say that he makes the decision to kill that woman. So yeah, our theme is talking about heroes who kill, and there's lots of them. I think people assume that all
because I think people just lump in like Batman and Superman and
also there's lots of heroes who generally don't, but even among them there's many who will if they feel that it's called for. So we got a ton of questions and a bunch of questions from people that don't usually write in, so I'm pretty excited to get into this.
Speaking of people who do write in all the time, we're heading up Twitter.
Sure. Twitter.
You okay? So speaking of people who do generally ask questions and who's given us a little nod in their own YouTube series, Raz My Berries Reviews, the kind you hear from the Secondhand Podcast.
Have you watched the video?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Do you know that he uses the theme now?
Yeah,
I love it.
I know
it's the perfect theme.
Oh, I like that.
I'm glad that it's worked its way in there.
I'm glad that I can offer this to you,
Simon.
Yeah, but I brought Simon in, so I did it. So,
by the transitive property.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you're now directly responsible for that YouTube channel's success
and all of Simon King's family and child.
Oh wow.
Took a lot of responsibility.
Yikes.
So, Raz My Bears Reviews asks, which characters surprise you the most that they have crossed that line, and which ones don't surprise you at all?
Ooh. The surprise thing is kind of the ones that don't surprise me are characters like Aquaman and Wonder Woman. Who both come from like warrior races.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, sure, Arthur was raised on land by his dad, but he is connected to his Atlantean roots. He's been the king of Atlantis many times. He knows that culture. It's in there. Yeah, do I want Aquaman or Wonder Woman to solve every problem by stabbing it? No. But it doesn't surprise me when it comes to the point and they're willing to do it. When that's on the table for them, that doesn't bother me, because it makes perfect sense for their characters. One that does surprise me, that's actually a little tricky. Who's killing would surprise me?
Superman?
Surprise is the wrong word, but it does carry weight. Superman has killed. It's not like a thing that he has never ever done or will never ever do. But it's done so infrequently or in such extreme circumstances or whatever that it does tend to carry some weight. Surprise is probably the wrong word, but yeah, when Superman kills, you pay attention. Which is definitely a thing.
I'd say the Flash killing what's his name? He's killed what the fuck was it? I know he's killed he's killed Savitar.
Yeah, and there was a whole arc in the comics in the New 52 where a future version of Barry, who had lost kind of everything, goes back in time killing his villains like through different future eras.
Or what about the Superboy Prime when he fucking decapitates Panther?
Do you know what? Superboy Prime became a major villain from that point on. But yes, in that moment when that book came out, it's like Infinite Crisis 4 or something like that, or 5. Superboy Prime, up to that point, he's been working for Alexander Luthor Jr. of Earth 3. He thinks he's doing right? And he thinks he's trying to live up to the mantle of Superman, that he's going to be the real Superboy and he's going to be good and they're going to make a good Earth. And then he kind of gets consumed by his own rage and frustration and he punches Panther's head into oblivion.
And everybody gets real
and
mad
from
at him.
that point forward, he becomes the single most powerful supervillain in the universe and goes on like a murder tear. That one, yes, in that moment, I will say that one was surprising. That's a surprise one. Yeah, I don't know that any character like straight up would surprise me to see them kill.
No?
Like of the ones that do kill.
The ones that have?
I think it's maybe just characters where I expect them to find a different way. Like Black Lightning or something like someone who's like an educator who like wants like to, uplift the youth in society. I'd be like, is that the way you want to go about that? Black Lightning, I don't think often kills. Maybe that's one where I'd be like, I don't know that I love that. But
didn't Jon Stewart like kill an entire planet?
Yes, with his hubris, because he basically traps Martian Manhunter, who's supposed to help him with this mission. And he's like, I've got this. And he basically like locks him away and goes to this planet. And this bomb that will destroy the planet is all yellow. And at the time, that was the weakness of a Green Lantern. And so he can't stop the bomb. And the planet Xanshi explodes. But Green Lanterns have been authorized to use lethal force before. Jon Stewart was like a Marine. So that wouldn't surprise me to see him do that. He's been like their Green Lantern sniper before. So there's lots of characters that wouldn't surprise me, but maybe someone like a Black Lightning or someone like
who's like a whole thing. Has Black Lightning killed? I don't know if we.
I'm sure he has, but again, I think that's one of those ones where it would either carry a lot of weight or you'd be like, oh my god, like, ooh. I think that would be a bit of a moment. Yeah.
All right. Sorry. So what is it? Well, it's at Dr. Baron, but the Twitter name is MadSEB77.
Right.
And it's just like an animation of all of Justice League. It's like, it's showing all the characters, implying that all characters have killed at some point.
That's he just tweeted she just tweeted the animation of the DC Films thing that plays before movies and before Titans and stuff like that. Implying that almost every character has killed at some point. And there's a point to be made there. Batman's killed. And I'm not even talking about
the driving the car off the cliff or whatever.
I'm not even talking about that or like the golden age where he carried a gun for like 8 issues or whatever when he first came on the scene. But like in Final Crisis, Grant Morrison's big like 2009 sort of multiverse ending thing, Batman shoots and kills Darkseid with a gun. Like that's the big
screw you, Darkseid.
Yeah, he has to do it in the Scottish accent. Yeah. I'm Batman. I've got a gun. What are you gonna do? You can't no stop this gun.
Kiss kiss bang bang.
That sounded like Ukrainian pop.
Giz giz bang bang.
But yeah, I mean, I don't have necessarily too much to say, but yes, I think if you go back through the history, either in film or comics, for characters that have been around long enough, they've probably killed someone at some point. If not directly, then through like negligence or that like I don't have to save you bullshit where you're still killing them.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's just because you get different writers in there, or there's different tones to the book, or this is an Elseworlds and they killed them here, or whatever. Like almost every character, I would hazard a guess, if you've been around for longer than 10 years, you probably killed someone.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, the next question comes from Cosmic DM.
Okay.
Why do you think Batman is the one hero who most adheres to the no-killing rule? Even Superman seems to have more instances where killing and death is an option for him.
I mean, we know the in-story reason is that he doesn't trust himself to stop.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I think there's a couple of comics that say, like, why don't you just kill the Joker? Do it once. It's fine.
Because I think he's an addict.
But you know, Batman already knows how dangerous he is. You know, like, you'd have to know how dangerous you were to have the hubris to be like, I will be the one to take down the Justice League if necessary, right? As a regular human.
Yeah.
So I think knowing that, and knowing how sort of consumed by darkness he is anyway, I think he knows that if he could make the excuse once, he'd find a way to make it again. You know, maybe other characters don't have that problem. And I think that's something that you do see in comics, is that, like, not everyone is fucking Batman. Like, Wonder Woman can kill someone and then turn around and be like, I will not kill you.
Yeah.
She can do that, but she's a warrior. She understands killing. Batman has only ever been victimized by it.
I think he's an addict. I honestly think he is, and the not killing is the way that he can limit himself in his action, because I think he's addicted to sort of
and it's the crusade.
Punishment,
it's
right?
the crusade, right? You know, if, like, I think his fear is, like, what if he kills someone and then he realizes that it works?
Yeah.
That, like, some crime goes away. Then, like,
where's the line?
What
then?
excuse does he have in his mission then?
And what makes him different than anybody else?
So I think it's that. I think it's about how dangerous he personally would be. It's not necessarily that across the board, any character you kill once, you'll kill always. But Batman recognizes in himself that he can't, you know, once he pop, can't stop. He's the Pringles of killing.
Yeah.
DC execs. You know, like in publication, in our world, I also think that is the reason that Batman has been set up. He's a human that can go easily toe to toe with characters like Superman.
Totally. If
you make that character willing to kill, then you have no reason to have any problems in your world anymore. This guy's already, like, tangoing with the gods, and the only way to rein him in, to make him manageable at all, or even palatable as a reader, because we've talked about it, Simon King's episode, let's bring it up. You know, he's a fascist. Essentially, you know, he's a rich white guy who punches the mentally ill. Like, if he just decides he's going to start killing people, you know, without due process or whatever, then, like, that's literally all the worst nightmares of authoritarianism that we're seeing come true in real life, like, brought to life. Like, I don't think as a publisher it would be responsible to have a Batman who became a killer. You know, you can always do here's a story where there's a Batman who kills, or, like, here's another world, or here's a what if. But for that to be the status quo of the character, that I don't think you can have that. I don't think it works.
I definitely agree. I just, though, I would love to see, like, a storyline where he just snaps and becomes, like, a serial killer. Like, he realizes he enjoys
You should fucking read Dark Knight's Metal. You get to see, like, all of these twisted, broken versions of Batman from the Dark Multiverse who do decide that.
Really?
Yeah. Plus, a bunch of them get powers of Justice League members. So they're even more dangerous.
Right.
Yeah.
The Aquaman one is so sweet looking.
But the Batman who laughs, who still exists, he wasn't killed at the end of Metal, is a Batman who kills the Joker and then becomes the Joker. So he has all of Batman's, like, intelligence and strategy and planning and training, and all of the Joker's, like, not giving a fuck.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, let's go to the next question from our old friend Axel.
Hey, Axel.
Axel.
Is that Australian?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is he Australian?
I actually don't know. I just like saying Axel.
Axel.
G'day, Axel. G'day, Axel. Or New Zealand. G'day, Axel.
Does it sound like a
little
more evil version of our accent?
So Axel asks, just an excuse to talk Aquaman. We'll take any chance. Probably most well known for killing Black Manta's father.
Yeah.
I believe after he once attacked Arthur's father.
Yeah, so the setup is that Arthur's father is attacked,
which we've already sort of mentioned, yeah,
by Black Manta. Arthur goes after Manta in a huge rage, obviously, and gets onto Manta's boat and kills basically the first person that he sees because he thinks Manta only ever works alone. And then, to his horror and shame, discovers that it's Manta's father, and he's basically killed an innocent man, like, at night, on the sea. And Manta sees this happen, and that's the blood, feud. He's like, from that point on, all he wants to do is end Arthur's life. There are comics where Aquaman is dead and Black Manta just disappears. He becomes like a fishmonger or something. He just lives like a quiet life. And then when Aquaman is resurrected, he like immediately like guts the people around him and like puts on his helmet and goes back into the ocean. Like he only lives basically to kill Aquaman, to go after him. But yeah, I mean, like, Aquaman is a character who can be blinded by emotions. He doesn't have a firm no-kill rule. He does have a little bit of that sort of warrior side, especially once he gets more immersed in Atlantean culture. But he, compared to them, is way more diplomatic. But Aquaman, compared to, like, members of the Justice League, is way quicker to violence. Like, he's probably, like, the least diplomatic member, or one of the least diplomatic members of the Justice League, but the most diplomatic Atlantean. So, like, that gives you a bit of a sense of the cultural difference. But
yeah, seriously.
So that's kind of where he sits. I think that's an interesting place for that character. He's a character that wants to be a hero, wants to be seen a certain way, but he also just, like, he can be compromised, and he can see the side of these people that just want, the violence and things like that. I think there's something interesting in there. I think that's what makes him kind of compelling.
All right. Next question comes from Stump Chunkman.
Step into the stump. Stump Chunkman. Blah!
We're just getting better at that.
There was a lot of commitment in that
I know. So Old Stumpy says, which hero do you think will be least likely to kill?
I mean, I guess that's technically Batman, but the difference is that Batman is in so many books. He's a character that so many people write, and he's so often used that you will get those Elseworld things or the what ifs. If you just like a character that you just probably wouldn't see kill, like, I don't know, maybe
Uncle Sam.
No, Uncle Sam will kill.
Really?
Oh my god, yeah. In Grant Morrison's Mastermen, which is part of the Multiversity, which takes place on Earth 10, which is where the Freedom Fighters are, he basically has the human bomb take out the watchtower and crash into Earth, and his hologram yells like, "Take that, you ratsies!" And then, like, as it like obliterates a bunch of people. Like they're yeah.
What about Calvin Ellis?
Oh, well, that is a Superman.
Yeah.
That's the President Superman of Earth 23, based visually on Barack Obama.
Yeah. Seems like less likely to kill.
Yeah. But by the same sort of Superman principle, right?
Yeah.
Now here's where Superman will and is willing to kill monsters.
Oh.
Technically, Batman does this shit too, but like, for example, in Superman Doomed, Superman straight up rips Doomsday in half. Like, there's no version where he's like, "Oh, I thought he'd live." Like, if you rip someone in half, your intention is to kill them. Or even in the animated series, like Superman, that is a Superman. There's a whole arc about whether or not he would cross the line, and no one is really sure because he's a Superman that feasibly would. But it's more about, like, you can make the argument that Doomsday isn't precisely sentient. He's kind of just like a mindless rage monster. So, and you kind of know that Doomsday comes back. So if you kill him, like Batman will dispatch Ra's al Ghul, but like he'll come back. Like there's that kind of thing sometimes. The loophole. So that does happen. But Superman will kill. Superman gets angry and things like that.
Ooh,
like,
Captain Carrot?
Yeah, I mean, I guess by definition. Okay, let's go back. What would surprise me is watching Captain Carrot cold-blooded murder somebody. Actually, Captain Carrot gets murdered in Convergence by Harley Quinn.
Oh.
She poisons a carrot.
What if he comes back and like cuts it into like a carrot into a shank and stabs someone?
No, that would legitimately surprise me. So I'm going to revise my answer to that first question. Yeah, if I saw Captain Carrot or any of the Amazing Zoo crew go prison rules and kill someone else, I feel like that would surprise me.
So could you say that he'd be the least likely to kill?
Yeah, fair enough.
I feel like, okay, that's good. All right. With that, Dark DC Podcast will be back after this quick break. Hey there, residents. This episode of the Dr. DC podcast is brought to you thanks to our amazing sponsors, Great Lakes Grooming Co. They sent us some awesome products to try, so let's check them out. We have the pine tar soap. This is amazing. We use it all the time at my house. It's a really wonderful sort of peppermint smell to it. It's a traditional recipe that they've developed themselves, and it's awesome. It's a great way to get clean and smell good every day. As well, I love the peppermint lip balm, especially this time of the year, living where we do, constantly getting sort of dry lips, and it's a huge pain. So definitely want to use that. Great Lakes Grooming is meant to be easy to use, rain or shine. All their products are purposely designed and environmentally responsible, handmade here in Canada, really ready for adventure wherever one may find themselves. For you lucky listeners, we also have an opportunity where you can get 10% off on Great Lakes Grooming regular priced products by going to www.greatlakesgrooming.com and using the promo code DRDCPodcast. That's right, www.greatlakesgrooming.com. Promo code is DRDCPodcast. Back to the show. And we're back. Hey. Ho.
What a dark note to have left on.
That's my favorite kind of note. Let's head on over to Facebook.
Going to the face and the book. Going to the Facebook.
First time question asker on this page is Adam Upper.
Is it?
Step into the Adam. The Adam Upper. Blech.
Oh, you've given up the goat.
I don't know what you mean. I like this question.
All right, let's have it.
Did producer Richard kill Colin?
Well, how's that possible? Colin died in that Hindenburg explosion.
I mean,
He was going on that airship filled with precious hydrogen.
Well, I don't know. I mean, how could I have killed him? I would have had to enter the Log Zeppelin storage site between the security guard shifts, posing as George Smith, a mild mannered security guard. He's works as a guard now, but he's always wanted to be a Broadway star. But who's he kidding? That's never going to happen. And then I would have had to have damaged the fuel intake valve, and I would have just then sneak away like a cat in the night, a vengeful cat. The cat who wanted to kill Colin. I mean, how could I even have thought of something like that? It's far too intricate.
Yeah, I mean, what a weirdly detailed alibi.
Yeah. Wait for my book that comes out next year. If I had killed Colin,
if I had exploded that Zeppelin,
this is how I would have done it. Anyways, let's go to the next question from Matthew Poulter.
Yeah, let's leave that one.
Yep.
Next question.
Matthew Poulter asks, why do you think Superman snapping Zod's neck at the end of Man of Steel elicited the vitriolic reaction it did? Ooh, good word use, Matthew. When Supes isn't explicitly a character that avoids killing at all costs.
Yeah. This comparison gets made a lot, and so forgive me for doing it again. But let's, for the purposes of the relationship between the characters in that.
Yeah.
I'm going to compare Superman 2 with Man of Steel. Superman 2 also features...
Superman 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah. It also features General Zod. At the end of Superman 2, he depowers the three Kryptonians, Zod, Ursa, and Non, and he basically crushes Zod's hand and then essentially drops him off a cliff, and he just sort of disappears into the mist at the bottom of the Fortress of Solitude.
As you do.
Could he technically survive? Yeah.
Technically?
Is that more cruel than just killing him if he survived? Probably. Yeah. Or is he dead? Almost certainly. Now, the thing with Man of Steel is that, and I even can concede this, I don't have a problem with Superman killing Zod in that movie. Here are the things that I could see being problematic. Snapping a neck is a lot more visceral and a lot more brutal than dropping someone off a cliff into the fog. That's a real physical act. It's very personal.
Yeah.
So there's that. The other thing is just that the mechanics of their fights, where they end up and what the stakes are. So like he's holding him kind of in like a sort of sleeper hold. Zod is using his heat vision. He's going to incinerate this family stuck in a corner. Is snapping his neck the only thing that would stop that particular instance?
Like, can you just trip him? Like,
or, suplex him so he goes the other way or something like that. You know what I mean? Like that, the actual geography of the fight.
It wasn't a checkmate, I would say.
Exactly. But do I think that Man of Steel had to end with Superman killing Zod? Yes.
Yeah.
Because this is a world that only just discovered Kryptonians at all. We don't know about kryptonite. We don't know about, their solar weakness, like red sun radiation. We don't know anything about them. There is no prison in the world that could hold Zod. The only way that could end, especially because Zod is basically just going to go one by one and kill every human on Earth at that point in the movie.
Yeah.
The only way that could end is Superman killing him. Do I think right there with the neck snap was the right way to do it? Not necessarily, but I do think that movie had to end with Supes killing him. So I think that's probably why it got such hate. It's very personal, very brutal, and in terms of how that scene is blocked, not explicitly necessary. So I think that's probably what it is.
Well, our next question comes from ex-guest of the podcast, Mallory Vanier. She asks, are there any heroes who have killed that you wish hadn't, based on how it impacted them as a character, their storylines from then on, etc.?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's kind of tricky. I kind of wish that I don't necessarily. I've already said I'm comfortable with Wonder Woman killing. I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah,
but there's an interesting story in I guess Countdown to Infinite Crisis, or leading up to it. Sorry, where Wonder Woman. Or no, it's after Countdown to Infinite Crisis. I'm missing precisely when it happens, but basically Maxwell Lord is telepathically controlling Superman. Wonder Woman has her lasso of truth around him and says, how do I stop him? Or how do I stop you? And he says, you can't. And, she knows he's telling the truth. Yeah. So she snaps his neck, but he has it rigged up so that it's televised. So the world sees her snap the neck of a man who's like bound and technically can't defend himself. And it turns public opinion. It fractures the Justice League, like Batman. It breaks her relationship with Batman and things like that. I personally, like, that's not out of character, for Diana to do that, to ultimately save the day. The stakes are too high. There's nothing else that could be done in her view. She's using the lasso and everything. That's in character for Diana, but as a reader, do you feel bad that she's shunned for something that of course she would do? Like, yeah, like, like in the meta way, I kind of regret that she had to go through all of that. But as a story, it makes perfect sense. Like, I don't think it's wrong. But it's kind of sad to see how it affects their relationship. Like, the whole thing leading up to Infinite Crisis is that the Trinity don't trust each other anymore. And then they basically, like Batman says that Superman hasn't inspired anyone since he was dead. And like they can't rely on Wonder Woman because of what she did to Maxwell Lord and all this stuff. So, yeah, I think I regret that Maxwell Lord was too many steps ahead, that her action would be then turned against her that way. But yeah, it still feels in character. It doesn't feel like it was bad writing or anything like that. I'm trying to think of like a character, like, or a particular instance of killing, and I wish they hadn't.
I mean, because it's hard to...
Probably something, like anything with the... I mean, it's not like the Flash particularly does that, but anything with the Flash, it kind of like him to be a little more unimpeachable.
I didn't really think that that Dr. Manhattan killing Rorschach was necessary, but...
Right. Well, I mean, but he knew that if he left Rorschach alive, Rorschach would expose the lie.
Yeah, for sure. But I just think a character that powerful, he could have just like put him somewhere else.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. No, that's fair. And that, I mean, that's a thing in that book is how disconnected Manhattan is from his humanity. And even though near the end of the book he decides that he cares about humanity enough to preserve the lie, you know, like, yeah, that's an interesting point.
Or Superman killing the Joker.
Like Injustice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's... Yes, I wish that hadn't have happened, but it's also like it's the central conceit of that universe, so I kind of can't wish it out of existence.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Like the idea of that universe is Superman kills the Joker. It's not like he's one of the ones along the way. Now, if we're talking in that universe, there are some deaths that are tough. Green Arrow's death is really like emotional in there. The accidental death of Dick Grayson. He's fighting Damian Wayne. Damian kicks him or something, and he trips, and basically his neck lands on a rock and snaps his neck, and he dies. And Damian didn't intend it, but that's a murder that like has a very, very emotional impact. That's one I regretted. I know that's an Elseworlds thing, but yeah, that's... Yeah. I mean, Injustice is fucking full of them. Kyle Rayner gets pulled, like, drawn and quartered in space by Sinestro. Like, there's some pretty horrible deaths in Injustice.
It's the Game of Thrones of series.
It really is. It really is, yeah.
Let's go to the next question from William. It's either Ines or Ines.
I think it's Ines.
Ines, yeah. Who asks, what is it about the no-kill rule that makes it such a defining characteristic of most superheroes?
Well, I mean, I think the thing that if you read a bunch of comics that you'll discover is it's actually not a defining characteristic. What is the defining characteristic is not defaulting to killing. You know, like, you can't have everyone be the Punisher. Or someone like that.
I think that like the reasoning behind it is you're giving a human or a character all of these unbelievable powers that could very easily just wipe out all of their problems by killing everybody. One, as a plot device that makes a very short run series, but also,
well, yeah, you have no more villains, you have no recurring characters.
I think, I think it also points out sort of the limitations of being a human, where we don't have that sort of ability to hold back a lot of the time, and somebody who's able to do that is clearly better than us. No wonder that's why they're a hero and we're not.
Yeah, well, and I think the ultimate thesis of superhero comics has to be that they're not doing it to replace society. They're doing it to assist a society that is struggling to deal with its issues or hasn't been dealing with its issues properly, or things like that, right? Mm-hmm. Like I think the ultimate idea of the superhero is that they are like, they're there to like try to get you back on track without necessarily like leading you the whole way. Mm-hmm. There's obviously a ton of exceptions to that,
but they're trying to like sort of set the example.
Yeah, and I do think that most characters who are willing to kill, there's a sort of established like limit or balance on where that line is for them, you know.
For sure.
It's about what are the stakes, or like how personal is it, or, you know, are they like Wonder Woman? I think in Gail Simone's run had like a bit of like a thing where, you know, I don't draw the sword unless I've extended the hand. I don't extend the hand unless I've, you know, used my words. You know, like there's steps. So
it's a process.
So knowing that, then when you see Diana draw her sword, you're meant to assume all other options have been exhausted as like a narrative device. Mm-hmm. But
next question comes from Roland Sebas.
Okay.
S, and then it's like an E with an accent aigu.
So
like
A. Seba.
And they ask if the version of Superman that exists in the Injustice universe was the same version as the Earth Prime Superman and killed the Joker as well, how would the DC Earth Prime heroes react?
Right. So you're saying if the plot of Injustice happened in main continuity.
Yeah. How do you think the DC Earth Prime heroes would react?
I mean, obviously the histories of those Earths are a little bit different. You know, if you read the books, you realize that not everything is perfectly lined up. But the basic premise of Injustice is, what if the Superman we know did this? So my answer is going to sound like a cop-out, and I apologize, but my answer is, I think, like, just in terms of the sides they would take or things like that, I think it would end up largely the same as Injustice. You know, like the exact mechanics of it, like the histories of the worlds are a little bit different, but, you know, Batman would not be okay with that. Wonder Woman probably would. You know, like the lines in the sand. I think Injustice does a good job of predicting where those characters would land, but they're doing that based off what we know about the characters, which is the prime continuity. So I actually don't think there would be like a massive difference. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like a cop-out answer, so I apologize, but I think that's basically the premise of Injustice. Is like, this is what we know about the characters. This is like how we've come to love them or know them or what we think they stand for. This is where I think would happen. The one thing that never sat right with me, though, was the Flash. I still, Injustice 2 shows more of the Flash the way I imagine it. The idea of him, for any reason, sort of siding with such an authoritarian regime is a little far-fetched for me. Even in the animated show, when there's the parallel Earth, which I think is like Earth 50 in the DC multiverse, with the Justice Lords, they take over because the Flash is killed. He's like the one that wouldn't have gone along with it. He's like their conscience in that show. And so, yeah, the Flash sort of joining the regime for that first Injustice and that story never sat right. It felt clunky. Like, I know they wrote an explanation, but that's one that never felt right. So maybe to answer this question, I think the Flash would probably side with Batman. If Superman in main continuity snaps and killed the Joker. Although we also know that there are 3 Jokers in prime continuity, so does he kill all 3 or does he kill one? And Batman goes like, all right, but if there's not 2 tomorrow when I look, then I'm going to know that you killed another one.
I'm keeping count.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right, well, let's move on to Instagram.
Now we're going to Instagram, take some questions and answer them.
Well, I got excited for that one. And we do get a lot of new question people today.
I love it.
I like it. First question comes from, let's see if I can pronounce this. Madhuzathan?
Or is it like Mathu? Like,
it's Madhuzuthan.
I feel like the
Madhuzathan? I keep saying it the same way.
I'm gonna fuck it up. I don't feel like butchering this poor soul's name.
I don't think it's their personal name, but it could be. All right, well, they ask, hello, Doc, do you really think Batman killed the Joker at the end of Killing Joke?
Ah, right. So the end of Killing Joke has them sort of talking to each other, and Batman says, like, I could help you. We could, this is going to end with one of us killing the other. It doesn't have to.
Yeah.
Like, let me fix this.
Yeah.
Like, he's basically begging. And then the Joker tells this joke about these 2 guys who are trying to escape an insane asylum, and there's a chasm. And so the guy says, like, I'll shine my flashlight. You walk across, and then you do it for me. And then the guy says, are you crazy? You would turn it off partway. Well, I was partway over. And then they laugh. They both laugh at this joke. And the panel kind of zooms in on like a puddle on the ground. And I feel like it may have been 100% confirmed that the intention was not that Batman killed him. But a lot of people have read that ending as like, because Batman is laughing at this joke with the Joker, that Batman has decided, since the Joker won't accept his help, and that's the metaphor of that joke,
Yeah.
that he has to kill him.
Which I mean, I could get that. Yeah.
As a sort of self-contained story, that's not the craziest idea.
No.
That's not the worst thing, even like narratively, even for Batman. You know, because it almost follows that like Wonder Woman thing. Like he is literally exhausted all of his options. You know, like this comes after he has maimed Barbara Gordon, he's tortured Jim Gordon. Like Batman should, if he's going to be a killer, should just kill him.
Yeah.
But he still is trying to be like, please let me rehabilitate you. Like we can fix this.
Mm-hmm.
Even after all that. So given that, I actually don't think that would be the worst thing. Now, of course, canonically, the events of Killing Joke do happen in some version because we know that Barbara gets paralyzed, becomes Oracle, etc., etc. And we know for a fact in Prime continuity that Batman didn't kill the Joker because the Joker keeps existing.
Yeah.
But in its own self-contained sort of world, as its own book, if you're just looking at it from cover to cover, I'm inclined to, I kind of like the idea that that's what the book is implying, that Batman does kill, that is the Killing Joke.
Yeah, I feel like that's
I like that.
That's the thing behind that. I thought that was the intent behind the whole story, right? So
yeah,
that was when I read it, that's what I thought.
And I think a lot of people have read it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the next question from subtle_light_Yagami.
Subtle light. Yagami!
Yeah.
I don't know. Trying to come up with new drops.
Subtle light? Yagami.
Damn
it. So they ask, hey Doc, I heard that Nightwing killed the Joker before, but I'm having a hard time finding the story. Was that in an Elseworlds or in the main canon?
Nightwing killing the Joker. I mean, that certainly feels like an Elseworlds. You know what? That's a character, again, that would surprise me if they killed. I would be way more surprised to watch Dick Grayson kill someone than to see Batman kill someone. Or Bruce Wayne, I mean. Dick Grayson...
Does he kill in The Last Laugh?
Like Joker's last laugh?
Yeah.
I don't think he does.
No? Okay.
Now, Nightwing was recently the subject of a miniseries that was like an Elseworldy thing called The New Order, where he basically works alongside this sort of fascist government, but he depowers metahumans. He releases some sort of virus that like fucks with their powers to get rid of all superheroes.
Oh, he did kill him, but then he resuscitated him.
Yeah.
He killed the Joker. Yeah.
Right. What story is that one? Because Dick himself has been killed and resuscitated. That happened in Forever Evil.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, that's a character that would surprise me if they killed anyone, frankly, but because and I'm sure he has in comics. He's been around for, 75 years, but 76 or 77, whatever it is now. But I think, the characterization that we sort of accept of Dick Grayson, I think you need to push him to such a crazy extreme for the killing to feel justified and not just like a writer doing something for shock factor or something that feels like disingenuous or whatever.
Yeah.
Like that's one that would surprise me, I think. I didn't read The New Order though, so I don't know if he kills the Joker in that one, but he does kind of work with fascists in that.
I can't think of
book.
a time where he actually goes through with it.
Not offhand, but they're clearly referencing something. So if someone can find this comic,
please let us know.
If it's Elseworlds or if it's main continuity or whatever, if you can find that and send it along, I'd be curious to see it, because I'd wonder, if it's one of those things where he like quote unquote kills him, but not really, or if he actually did it.
Totally.
Yeah.
All right, let's go on to the next question, and the last one from Mr. Shane Webb. Mr. Shane Webb. G'day.
Another shrimp on the barbie.
Spiders.
Heck. Oh, go in the water. There's a shark in the water.
Oh, no.
Watch out. Oh, the shark. He's got lots of teeth.
Yours sounds more New Zealand to me.
I can't help it. He's got lots of teeth in the water.
Hi, Brit.
Hey, what do you mean?
That sounded like Ringo.
Hi.
Hi, Jermaine.
I wrote a song too.
Oh, good. We'll put it right on the fridge. Shane Webb asks, which hero doesn't kill, but do you think should? Also, there should be more heroes and villains from Australia. They'd be hard to beat because everything down here is designed to kill you. So if you manage to survive, you're already doing pretty well.
Oh, interesting. Well,
they've got one.
do you know what? I'm actually going to bring him up because I have comic evidence that directly disproves this idea that Australians are naturally tougher.
Oh.
So, who is the most famous Australian in DC Comics?
Mr. Boomerang.
Captain Boomerang. Yeah, Drongo.
Yeah.
Yes, Captain Boomerang.
You know, the great thing about kangaroos, they come right back.
Oh. Oh, no. Oh, that went to a place. Yikes. Jesus, what was I saying? Yeah.
Disproving the toughness.
Captain Boomerang in Identity Crisis
Yep.
is very down on his luck because he's a drunk and everyone hates him because he's an asshole and shit like that.
Yep.
Typical Australian. No. He's Shane, I love you.
You Aussie ass bitch.
But he is given a job reluctantly by the Calculator, who is a friend of his, like gives him a job, kill this guy. And Captain Boomerang is super out of shape, but he's like, I'm going to do this. I just met my adult son and we're getting along. I'm going to prove to him that like I'm Captain Boomerang, like this kind of shit, right?
I'm the boomerest rang you've ever seen.
But what happens is he's sent to kill Jack Drake, the father of Tim Drake,
Okay.
Robin. But Jack is tipped off that he's coming, and Jack gets a gun out, and basically this like civilian with no training kills Captain Boomerang, but then also himself is killed. Like Captain Boomerang throws a boomerang, is shot, so they both die. And that is how tough Captain Boomerang is. He was also incinerated instantly when the Suicide Squad freed General Zod from the Phantom Zone. So I would make the argument that being Australian didn't help Captain Boomerang. What was the question?
One, do you think there should be which character doesn't kill but you think should?
Well, yeah, let's slightly rephrase this because we've sort of beaten to death the idea that most characters at some point have killed. A character that doesn't normally kill that I think should. I'm going to say, I don't know. This is a tough question to answer because it's like you're advocating for murder. Do you have one?
Aquaman?
Should kill more?
Yeah.
Than he does?
I just think that like through the fact that like I feel like he's hitting people with tridents, it's hard enough. Like I just feel like
you just mean like logistically more people should be dead after fighting Aquaman.
Yeah,
right? Not that
and they're just like underwater, so if they're unconscious, they're drowning.
Not that he should kill more, but that more people would realistically be left in his wake. Right.
Yeah.
Okay, I see. Yeah, sure. That's fair. Who do I want to see kill? I would love to see like Gnort just fucking lose it. No.
Scratch that. Liesel Pond.
Liesel, fuck you and fucking Liesel Pond. I don't know that there's a character that I like read them and I'd be like, oh, I wish they would kill more. I actually don't know that there is one. Maybe a character I'd be more interested in seeing like the devastating effect of their power or something is like Black Canary. You know, she uses that canary cry a lot. It could disable, it can sort of put people off balance. They have to cover their ears. They can't take the noise. She uses it to destroy like glass and stone and things like that. But it would be maybe interesting in the context of a story to see like a bit more of like maybe that power out of control.
Yeah.
I guess there was a little bit of that in the Black Canary solo series, but like that idea of like that power without a ton of control is incredibly dangerous. She can like incapacitate Superman with that. So, yeah, I don't necessarily know that I want her to intentionally kill people, but the idea of like powers out of control where like that restraint isn't there to hold things back. That interests me. You know, that's kind of the Superboy Prime thing, right? Like he's so powerful and doesn't realize it, and he punches Pantha's head like into oblivion. It's not like he punches it off. He punches it and it doesn't exist anymore. Like it's so yeah, I guess I'm kind of curious about stuff that way.
Okay. Well, that was the last question, which you know what this fucking means.
Are you prepared for this one?
No, but I'm gonna come up with something on the spot. Do you have something?
I want you to go first. I want to put you actually on the spot.
Okay. Well, I'm going to. So I'm going to take what Shane Webb has asked for.
Okay.
And I'm going to create an Australian character.
Okay.
But he's not going to be a hero. He's going to be a villain.
Of course.
I love making villains.
You always make villains. Yeah.
He's the.
I'm so worried already.
He's the Australian Riddler.
Okay.
His name is Kangaroos.
Like ruse, like R-U-S-E. Fuck you. That's a good name.
Real name.
I'm
John,
just angry
John
because-
Larrikin.
I'm just mad that it's such a good name.
Yep. That's it. It's just the same thing.
God damn it.
I was thinking of another one earlier, but I bailed on it now because I think this is so much fun.
All right. The one that I've got, his name is Square Cubed.
Ooh.
Basically, what he can do is he can manipulate the square cube law. So, square cube law in physics is like the reason why we can't have like ants the size of dogs. Is that if you square the size, you cube the weight. So nothing that like exists, you know, like skeletally could support its weight at that size.
Oh, so you couldn't like shrink or expand.
It's why King Kong can't exist. That if you square the size of a gorilla, you cube the weight, and a skeleton can't keep up with that. But Square Cube can manipulate that, and in doing so.
You mean it's like the atom, but like the...
Except he's not growing or shrinking things. He's making them either too heavy or not heavy enough. So can like... He's basically... He would like... You wouldn't change size, but if I was square cubed, I could make you so heavy that your knees shattered.
Oh my god.
Or so light that you float off into the stratosphere.
Jesus Christ.
So that it's the opposite. He doesn't actually shrink or grow other people.
Oh
he just manipulates their connection to the square cube law.
That's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Well, those are great. We'd love to hear whatever type of characters you guys can come up with, you residents. Send them. Use the hashtag DialDoc.
Yeah.
And send us your ideas for a hero or a villain, or just send us a question about the next theme, or what is the next theme going to be?
So next week's episode, we continue Doctober. We're going to be talking about demons.
Demons.
Talking about hell and demons and Satan and yeah, lords of the deep, basically.
Lucifer.
Yeah.
That's very exciting.
Yeah.
You know, it's got a lot of demons in it. Supernatural. It's off Netflix. So if you guys want to send us a question or just nerd out with us about DC online, you can do so through our various platforms such as Facebook.
I almost did the Facebook drop.
Oh.
Dr. DC Podcast.
Twitter.
At Dr. DC.
Instagram.
Dr. DC Podcast.
You can send us an email.
drdcpodcast@gmail.com.
We got a fancy fucking subreddit.
r/Dr_DC.
Hell yeah. Also, not only can you talk to us online, but you can also read some of our DC specific articles, which I think we put some up in the not too far past.
Yep.
Or review some of our many wares on our merch page. You can do that all through our website.
drdcpodcast.com or .ca.
And then finally, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. You don't want to have to look and see if we got a new episode out. You just want it to come into your phone like a gift from a friend.
Yeah, I just wanted to come in my phone.
Yeah, just a friend who's like just a little too attracted to you. That's me. What's up, Josh Gill?
Oh yeah, you're only a little too attractive to Josh.
That's the courts say I can only be a little attracted to him.
What a weird thing to mandate.
Well, they say it in other words, but that's how I translate it. And also rate us and review us. Give us
How could you possibly measure that?
Give us 5-star on iTunes. We haven't gotten a review in a while. You know what we're gonna set for? Let's see, Let's get two. We get 2 more reviews. What are we gonna do? Let's do something in 2 more reviews. 2 more reviews. We're gonna.
If we get 2 more reviews, I'll watch the pilot of Supernatural.
Oh fuck! Okay, guys, seriously, never have I needed you more than now. Men, women, children, everyone, review.
2 more reviews.
We only need 2.
And I will watch Hot Guys Hot Show.
Oh, okay. We need to get this. Will put us at 20 reviews. That's all I'm asking for. 2 more reviews. Let's get there. Go to iTunes, leave us a 5-star review, write something down. Maybe we'll make a little Supernatural joke if you want to do that, and I'll pick up on it, and we can be secret best friends. So let's do that. So I'm looking forward to next week when I can see those reviews and we can make them watch Supernatural. What a great way to end October with Supernatural!
Oh well, I mean, we still have 2 more episodes in October.
I know.
Halloween.
One review for each episode.
That's
Let's get it done.
Exactly. One for next week for Demons, and then one for the week after when we talk about Blackest Night. And then,
Blackest Night.
not the Martin Lawrence film.
God, I already made that joke. All right. Well, see you guys next week.
Adios.
Cha-cha!
Heroes, they always fight for what is right. Live with danger and adventure, they are men of might.
This was a Brain Freeze podcast.
Gladly. Purr. The kitty goes meow.
Save it for Fuckmas. Am I right?